So this is the hadith. On the left side, you see from Sahih al-Bukhari when Aisha was accused of cheating on Muhammad, right? And then Muhammad goes to ask a few people what they think of Aisha. And Barira, Aisha's slave girl, says this about her.
Yeah, that she is a girl of immature age who sometimes sleeps and leaves the dough for the goats to eat.
What the heck?
So she just her own slave girl they called her
Now,
out.
interesting tidbit. Remember the goat eating the Quran? This is in a different hadith, just magically coincides
Randomly.
that Aisha used to be clumsy with the goats.
She just left stuff out to be eaten.
Maybe she
Maybe
was
you did have.
to the goat, right? Maybe it's like a pet.
The goat of Aisha.
Right? They'll feed the cats like food they're not supposed to and stuff. The kids, right?
Yeah.
Kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, yeah. But that's exactly what she said. But this is happening after Muhammad is married to her and they go to this faraway place and her necklace is lost and she's accused of sleeping and whatnot. And the scene is pretty intense. Like, if you look further down, they accuse the person and they're like, I will chop your head, and this guy will chop your head. And they're like ready to chop off heads.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this was
Now,
the whole thing about whether she actually cheated on Muhammad. This was the whole
hmm,
investigation going on, right?
yeah, people are crying, and then Muhammad fainted, and suddenly the revelation came to him later on.
Very convenient.
On the right side, though, again, you see Aisha saying herself that I remember the messenger covering me with his rida, like with his shawl, while I was watching the Ethiopians playing in the masjid. And masjid came in Medina while she was living in the masjid with Muhammad until I got bored. And then Aisha says, so you should understand the keenness of young girls to play. So Aisha again tells us that she's a young girl who likes to play. And in another hadith, is the same kind of hadith, but just narrated in a different book. It says that she was looking and he would stand there for my sake till I was the one who departed. So estimate the time a young girl eager for amusement would wait. So that's Aisha again saying that she was young and she would like to play like girls and with dolls and whatnot. It's sad, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good points. These are all very good points and very difficult to because you wouldn't call a 19-year-old woman a young girl. You'd say a 19-year-old woman, right? A young implies not 19 is like an adult basically, right?
Yeah, you can say young adult
Yeah.
for 19-year-old.
Young
But
woman too for that, but
not young girl.
it doesn't. No, you wouldn't say young girl, right? You might
No.
say something else, young woman maybe, but young girl, no, like not at 19. Hello, little girl. Imagine you said that to a 19-year-old. They'll be like looking at you like, or like my
But
son.
do we see any of these details recorded about other wives of Muhammad or that were mature old women that would keep telling people that, oh, I was so keen and I was so young and I like to play on swings and dolls and
No. She didn't get to have her childhood.
and another thing that we need to keep in mind is we need to stop thinking about the idea of like the bleeding. Just forget about the bleeding, because you need to understand that the bleeding is a one step in a bunch of steps that the lady has to go through maturation and years of maturation. Her hip bones have not widened. If she gets pregnant, she will most likely not be able to have the baby through natural birth, and she has a huge chance of dying and whatnot, right? And
even just being pregnant
and then,
is a risk for them at that age.
Forget about the physical. You have to think about the mental. Biologically, it is impossible for a 6 or a 9-year-old girl to have the maturity of an adult or something we would consider of an acceptable level of maturity to understand marriage and what sex is. You just can't expect it. It's impossible. Neurological development takes so long, right? And it's like I said, we have to think of her from her perspective. Imagine she's a girl who's young and she's telling you her stories about her childhood that was spent with this guy. Right?
Hmm.
And it's kind of morbid. She's scratching his clothes and shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, scratching the skin off his clothes. When you said she didn't have a childhood, she also didn't have, in a way, she didn't have an adulthood either, because she
No,
never
exactly. Yeah.
married to an old man. This old man died, and he made her, basically never get married to another man ever again. So that's another thing. Like, she had to stay, basically be like a monk after he died, right? She could never have sex again. She could never love another man. She was just stuck in being this, like, widow of Muhammad, right? This child bride.
Maybe that's why she's the
Like,
only wife of Muhammad that keeps narrating these scratching hadith and all these weirds because she's frustrated in her later years. So all she can do is just think about the good old days,
oh my gosh.
right?
Days. Yeah.